Construction. During the construction stages of our media products, my group and I used a variety of new media technologies, some including Photoshop, iMovie, and Adobe Premiere Pro. When deciding on what softwares to use for the construction of our magazine cover and poster, my group and I decided on using Photoshop. This was primarily due to each of us having past experiences with the software, as we were required to use it when creating our music magazine, contents page, and double page spread at AS level. Another factor that contributed to our decision to use Photoshop is the endless creative power that you have, for example, image manipulation to any extent. The professionalism in Photoshop is also far greater than the majority of amateur software, such as Photoscape and iPicky, due to the fact that it offers a variety of effects, tools, and is almost always being updated by Adobe, providing us with even more elements to experiment with in order to create the most professional-looking products. We manipulated the images for our magazine cover and poster by changing the brightness and contrast in order to make the images stand out and appear clearer. As well as this, we edited different sections of our images to be lighter or darker. An example of this is when we used the contrast option to make the thick outline used to represent the grave on our poster much darker than the original. We also used the lasso tool to copy and duplicate this outline to make it look thicker in appearance. All of this was done in order to ensure that the outline looked like a realistic grave. Photoshop was also used to create our film credits, as we were able to download the Stiltongs font via thefonts.com, as through research we found this to be the conventional font used on most real media products. In doing this, we were then able to conform to the conventions on real-life posters and trailers, as we were able to make our own credits with the names and production companies relevant. Layers also played a major part in the construction of our magazine and poster, as it allowed us to build up different sections of our magazine and poster, as well as enabling vital elements such as our trailer title to be inserted. We also added other important elements such as the age classification and quotes from the different magazines, which can be seen on the bottom third of our poster. Lastly, the cutout tool was used in the construction of our magazine cover in order to carefully cut around our actresses' heads, as we needed to place the top half of the image over the masthead, as through research we found this to be conventional within Empire magazines. When deciding on what software to use to create our teaser trailer Twisted, my group and I agreed that Adobe Premiere Pro would be more appropriate than iMovie. This was because, just like Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro is much more advanced, as it provides a variety of different tools, effects, fonts, precision editing, and many more. This makes the overall professionalism far greater than iMovie. The fact that it is possible to split shots so precisely with this software worked to our advantage, as we were able to give our trailer a sense of continuity, as we were able to cut and chop our different clips to be exactly the same length in the areas that we wanted. Precision editing also played a major part in some of the effects we used, such as the flashing effect that can be seen in our trailer. This was inspired by the flashing effect that I had seen from a scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was able to do this by cutting the clip into extremely tiny sections and adding the invert effect to every other section, as shown in the picture on screen. Another effect we were able to incorporate was the blend overlay seen in the first half of the trailer, and the method used has been explained in detail using the picture currently on screen. As well as this, my group and I used basic manipulation on some of our footage, such as color and contrast manipulation, zooming, cropping, black and white effects, and many more. Despite our choice to use Adobe Premiere Pro to create our product, we felt that iMovie was strong in fonts and titles, so we experimented. However, we did not end up using any, as we wanted to create continuity between our teaser trailer and ancillary products, and so continued to use the same facial fear fonts throughout our 3 media products. In order to download our chosen music and sound effects from YouTube, we used YouTube to MP3 converter, as this enabled us to convert videos into an MP3 format, which proved useful, as this was the format required for inserting music on Adobe Premiere Pro. We also used YouTube to download our Paramount Production moving logo, as seen at the very opening of our trailer, and we also used Google Images to find the green screen picture that is featured at the very start of most teaser trailers. Lastly, we used a Canon 700D camera to take the images for our magazine cover, poster, and to film the trailer, rather than the Canon EOS 500D provided, as there is a larger viewfinder, more control over focus, contrast, and a variety of different settings to play with, such as the night scene handheld mode and the creative filter effects. We also decided to use the same camera for each of our media products in order to have the same quality in each, again helping to create continuity throughout our production. All the different media technologies mentioned played a major role in the construction of our products, and we were able to not only learn new skills through them, but develop existing skills that we already had. Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro were the main programs or technologies that allowed us to create our final piece to a professional level. During the researching stages of our three products, my group and I used a variety of different technologies to aid us, some of which include YouTube to MP3 converter, Google Images, Google Maps, the Empire website, WikiHow, social networking sites such as Facebook, the Canon 700D camera, photo booth, and many more. YouTube was very useful during the research stages as we were able to thoroughly look into different areas such as existing horror trailers and films, music, sound, special effects, and software tutorials. It was important for us to research into existing horror teaser trailers so that we could become familiar with the different codes and conventions used. Having knowledge of these codes and conventions was very important as it allowed us to decide what areas we wanted to subvert or conform to within our own production. YouTube enabled us to research into horror films from both the past and the present simply by just entering the film title into the search engine. Some examples of the films and teaser trailers we watched include Psycho, The Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, and many others. We were also able to research different music and sound through YouTube, and once our decision had been made, we used YouTube to MP3 converter to download the audio sounds required, as mentioned previously. YouTube also gave us access to special effects tutorials, such as the blood squirt effect we used on actress Layla in our teaser trailer. This effect was useful as it allowed us to incorporate the most iconic icon of horror, blood, in such a creative way. Lastly, my group and I used YouTube in the researching stages to look up different Adobe Premiere Pro tutorials when we were unsure of how to do something or when we wanted to create an effect, such as the blend overlay and the flashing effects mentioned previously. It was also important for my group and I to research into different existing film magazines in order to again learn the different codes and conventions so we could decide what aspects we wanted to either develop or challenge within our own production. We used Google Images to help find different film magazine covers so that we could analyze them in detail. Once we decided on what magazine we wanted to use for our own product, which was Empire magazine, we began researching into them via the Empire website. We also used Google to research into different production companies that we were considering using in our own trailer, such as Paramount and Warner Brothers, as well as using Google Maps to look into some of the different locations we could potentially use to film our own trailer. Websites such as WikiHow also gave us a variety of different methods we could use to create fake blood and cuts. We also used social networking sites in our researching stages as they were a useful way to get quick responses from our target audience. An example of this is when my group and I posted on Facebook asking people what they looked for in a good horror film and the different elements they would expect to find. We also uploaded our rough cut onto Facebook so people could comment freely, as this was an easy way to gain audience feedback so we knew what to remove or add into our final trailer. I also asked people from my sixth form what some of their fears were as part of my research, and I filmed their responses using a Canon 700D camera. I thought that this would work in our favour when deciding on our plot or narrative, as I was aware that if a movie of the horror genre is not based on moral panics or current fears among the chosen target audience, then it will become less likely for viewers to get emotionally connected or react in the way that we would like. I also used Photo Booth on a Mac computer to conduct focus groups and film the reactions of my target audience when played different clips from existing horror trailers. This was again very useful as my group and I were able to see the different things that cause our audience to react, for example, the sound of cracking bones and screaming. From this, we were then able to decide what to include within our own product. During the planning stages, my group and I used a variety of different media technologies, some of which include Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Hotmail, Gmail, WhatsApp Messenger, SkyDrive, Flatplans, Mind Maps, and various others. Microsoft Word was used for creating and drafting our narrative, drafting emails, and drafting prop and shot lists. Our shot and prop lists were then inserted into Microsoft Excel as it provides a useful grid method that enables you to structure things in an organized fashion. We also used Hotmail and Gmail to send emails back and forth to one another, as well as WhatsApp Messenger, which allowed us to form group chats. This enabled my group and I to arrange meeting times, contact our cast members quickly, or answer any questions or queries they had about filming or photo shoots. Here is a screenshot of the actresses sending pictures of potential costume ideas. We used emails to send our cast members the shooting schedules in order for everyone to be aware of what they were required to do on each day, what they had to bring, what they had to wear, etc., etc. SkyDrive, one of the features of Hotmail, almost like an internet USB, allowed us to share and drop large video files and pictures that would not usually be able to be sent over email. This was useful as it gave us easy access to different materials that we needed. My group and I also hand drew our flat plans and mind maps during the planning process in order to know what scenes we had to shoot, the different angles, positioning, etc. This proved to be useful as from planning ahead through flat plans and mind maps, we all knew exactly what we needed to film and shoot and what we were required to do in order to get the shots we were looking for. Throughout my evaluation, I also used a variety of different media technologies, as I used Final Cut Pro to edit my videos and to edit my podcasts, as well as GarageBand to record my podcasts. I also used Microsoft Word to help me draft my ideas that I had for my evaluation questions. I also used my phone to record notes that came to my head suddenly. Blogger was also used to upload my evaluation questions, and Photo Booth on an iMac was definitely a major part, as I was able to use this to record audience feedback in order to answer the evaluation question asking about it. As well as this, I experimented with a variety of different presentation programs, some including SlideShare, Prezi, SlideShark, and BrainShark.